director of The Man Who Caught a Mermaid, Caitlin Tinker. Maria Wilson, director of Benfica. Tanya Lemke, director of Static. Deanne Molino, director of The Itching. Jill Givargazian, director of The Stylist. And Jessica McKinson, director of Skin. All right, so being with Tanya and going down, do you just want to talk a little bit about where your films came from, specifically why you chose to make the film that you made today, or that we showed today, I mean to say, the genesis of the project? So starting with you. Sorry. Caitlin. Oh my God, it's really my time of the day. I apologize.
I came all this way, man.
Right? Jesus.
So what am I talking about about the project?
Just the genesis of the project, where Mermaid came from.
So Mermaid was actually my first film. It was my student film, and it started with a conversation that I had with another artist about the kind of myth of the mermaid, how to propel that into a story of a modern myth, and also the problematic issue of projection, which is essentially what the film is about. So we got our team together. We raised money through Possible, which was awesome, and it took about a week of filming, and then the actress who, all the effects were in camera, so the actress sat through 7 hours of makeup before she actually got onto set, and you know, we also drowned a camera making the film, and our first assistant nearly got thrown off the pier, and it was a big drama, so yeah, it was a very kind of colourful and wacky first film experience, but yeah. What would you like to know? Is it enough?
Yeah. For beginners, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I did Benfica. One of my co-producers is here. We trained as actors, wanted to start making our own work. So the three of us, we raised $3,000, made 3 short films, 1 location, 1 crew in 1 week. Mine is the genre film, so it's here. So each film had a budget of $1,000, so we had to be really smart about how we allocated those funds. And I love sci-fi, I love mystery, I love witches. I kind of wanted to make something very subtle and understated because 1, budget wouldn't allow for great effects, and also 2, I think that's kind of cool. But more than that, I wanted to do a rite of passage film, and I wanted to, at the time in my life, I didn't feel like I had a lot of agency. There was a lot of decisions that were being made by other people that affected my life, and I kind of wanted to heighten those stakes and think about free will and choices, and this poor girl has absolutely no choice. It's up to, you know, the universe, magic, fate, what her life is going to be. So I kind of wanted to have people leave going like, thank God I'm not that girl. Like, I have some power, I have some agency in my choices in my life, and I didn't know that going in, but once in the post process, I was like, oh, that is definitely, you know, where that came from, that seed.
Hello, I'm Jill Givargazian. I directed The Stylist, and like I said before, I've been a professional hairstylist for over 10 years, and I kind of thought, how does this not already exist, or at least like a silly slasher with a hairstylist. And but I am more attracted to, I wanted to make a film about, you know, from the villain's point of view and make us feel for them, and have the focus be on her emotions versus trying to scare the audience. So that's what
I'm Tanya, and Static is my film, and it's my second short film. I was actually looking for something to do, and I met Rob Shearman at a Doctor Who convention I was dragged to. And I absolutely love his stories, and so when I was looking for something, that story had 3 elements that I always am attracted to in combination, which is it's funny, it's poignant and moving, and it's twisted. And so those 3 things just were perfectly melded in that story. I thought, it wasn't a personal story for me initially when I first adapted it, but as it turns out, oddly enough, a very good friend of mine and my dad both passed away of lung cancer, during the filming, and the post-production, and also my dog died. So only romantic comedies from now on. And so the script won a prize from the Canadian Film Centre's Worldwide Short Film Festival, which was how I was able to make the film. And so we got a lot of service of kind for that. And I was able to put together that unbelievable cast because I've been working in the business for a long time on crew level. Directing and writing is a sort of new thing for me, and so I was able to, those kind, wonderful people were able to come and be in film for me. And Eric Peterson is not absolutely amazing, he's just absolutely brilliant. Hides all sins, that acting. So, yeah, that's him.
Hi, I'm Diane, and I directed The Itching. And the way that came about was I normally direct live action shorts, and so Adam and I wanted to make a film together, and we wanted to use clay animation. That was right from the beginning. So we're both kind of lovers of handmade things and non-computer oriented things. So right from the beginning we were talking about sort of the visceral quality of clay animation and the handmade look, and animals and fairy tales are something I've been drawn to a lot in different kinds of art form. And I think in terms of the themes, it's really open to your interpretation, so I don't like to say, you know, what it's about or what we thought it was about. But I think a lot of it for me, and I'm itching my neck right now as I'm saying this, but I wanted to make something that was just very, very emotional and visceral and physical, and it seemed like a good mix with the clay animation. So sometimes in live action with actors, I kind of hold back, and I've made more minimalist stuff, and in this one I just wanted to be, sort of let the characters be as vulnerable and emotional and imperfect as possible.
Hi, I'm Jessica Nakinson, and I directed Skin. I think the question is like what the idea or the impetus for the film.
Yeah, where it came from.
I guess all ideas come from some form of truth. There's a part of that that's true, and then the rest of it, I suppose, was playing the tape through to the end. What would happen if, and then.
Beautiful.
But I think, you know, mostly looking for connection, looking for connection in very intimate ways, in ways that maybe hoping that there's some way to connect with people in this life that, or in ways that other people wouldn't be capable of. Something special about that uniqueness that I'm drawn to.
That's a great answer. Thanks. Okay, let's open up some questions from the audience. It's a bit dark, incidentally. Someone in the booth maybe turn on the lights a bit. I love the theatrical lighting, but we need to be able to see hands. I don't think anyone in the booth is listening anymore. Okay. Questions from the audience. Maybe jump up and down or set your hair on fire.
There's one guy down there.
Hey, perfect. You down there. Awesome. Please.
Hi. So happy we have a collection like this of shorts this year. I hope we have more in the future. This is to all the filmmakers. Did any of these shots in your respective film come from nightmares you've had in the past?
I think I need a thinking time on that one.
I've dreamt script ideas before. Oh, dream from nightmares. Boy, I would have to really. I actually suffered from nightmares for a long time. So maybe when you suffer from them in your own life, you're like, when I'm awake, I want things to be okay. So I like trying to write more fantasy.
I think the nightmare that the crazy white men are in control is pretty terrifying. So, yeah, I think, my nightmare is that, and the idea that there's, male gaze can be very problematic, and so can the projection of male fantasy. It can be very exhilarating and exciting when it's consensual, but I think that's probably my nightmare. but I don't think there's a specific shot in the film that spawned from my fantasy dreams.
Actually, the blue wound that is on the wolf is from a dream, and that was the first image for the film.
I don't know. Not at all. It was all on the surface until it wasn't.
Yeah, I would know as well. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Next question, please. Yes.
I really like the program, and I like the emphasis on embodiment and the senses, not only the visual sense, but the other senses that we often forget in the cinematic experience. And as horror fans, that we don't only see films, but we experience them very viscerally with our bodies. And we have a film called Skin here, we have a film called Itching, we have, and I think this is really cool. And the film about the eyes shatter in it. So I think the program really holds together in this kind of way. It's about the senses. And I wanted to ask a question to Jill because I'm really into skin trauma, and I feel like your film is a bit of an homage to Eyes Without a Face by Georges Franjuly, even more so than the last film, which was trying to do Judex. I thought your film was really capturing, because that film is about skinning, and we sort of think of Maniac when we think of skinning, but if you remember that scene in the operating room when the skin is removed from the woman's face, I really felt like the way delicately you're scalping, I loved it. It just reminded me of Franjuly, so I was just wondering.
Thank you. I have to admit I haven't seen Eyes Without a Face.
You must see it. See a connection.
But yeah, it's really inspired by characters like Maniac, Leatherface, May, people who I think are very, you can empathize with. Maybe I'm crazy, but they're very sad characters to me.
Next question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On the Itching, I am really fond of clay animation. How did you come the idea of the predator being the friend of the prey?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? I couldn't hear the last part.
Because wolves and bunnies, normally they are enemies in the fairy tales. And
Yeah.
in this fairy tale it's not. How come the idea came out?
Well, I think I was trying to play on opposites a little, like wolves are predators, but also this character is kind of shy and anxious. So there's that, and then bunnies are, I guess, supposed to be gentle and everything, but these are like coke snorting maniacs. So I think it's playing on it a little, but I think and metaphorically, I think it was just the idea of the loner. Like everyone can probably relate to being like the one person that is trying to make friends with a crowd or like a clique or something. So I think playing with different ideas of opposites, but the fact that they become friends, I think, is very sweet. Like, not to put too much into it, but the fact that they're so different and then they come together, I think, is kind of the point of it.
When I was a child, I was previously sad about wolves. I like it.
Awesome. Next question. Really? Yes.
I have just a technical question for Maria, is it?
Yes.
How would you use to make the fire blue?
They sell things that you throw in fires that turn them blue. That, is not the most exciting answer. But so we did a lot of takes of people throwing them in and then having to make sure you couldn't see it.
Right.
And I had the color guy. He was a really nice guy. I asked him to I didn't hire special effects, so I was like, is there any chance you can color it from red to blue in one take? And he's like, yeah, okay. I was like, is there any chance you can make her eyes
What did
turn
you do?
black? And he was like, yeah, okay. He was really awesome and really did more than he expected to do, because he was a really, really, really great guy.
But you got it most of or at least part of the way there, or halfway there in camera.
Oh, in camera. When her feet come off the ground, that's my awesome co-producer and my other co-producer lifting me off the ground. It's all. My one thing is I hate, which everyone did so awesome with the effects, but that's one thing that really rips you out of a sci-fi film is when you try to go beyond what
I was gonna
is
say
going to
with
work.
$1,000 budget, you were probably wise to go that way.
Yeah, that's. Thank you. I haven't got that.
We've got time for one last question. Yes.
Just curious, it seems like a lot of the films deal with graphic emotional damage. And I'm wondering if how do you think of this as maybe these films are associated with
Yeah. It had to do with a lot of them had to do with emotional damage, and was it therapeutic to me?
Or just like, do you think it's a therapeutic process, or the end product was maybe like a therapeutic good?
I am. Yeah, I think for me it was the idea of taking something that taking something that doesn't feel good, or any kind of idea or that you're grappling with in life, and then turning it into a creative project or a piece of art always feels good, regardless of the medium you're working in. If you can turn whatever you're dealing with into some kind of art that propels you and gives you inertia, making this was hugely helpful in every area of my life, just because I was actually getting something new done.
And you're kind of putting all that. I mean, I had gone. Can you tell I went through a bad breakup and wanted to kill a guy? But like, I wasn't consciously like, now I'm gonna kill it. You don't actually think outside your head that way. But it was a chance for me to put a lot of any natural toxic energy was kind of just immediately evacuated, and you got to, like you said, do something creative and new and something completely out, especially with sci-fi, like outside of reality. You don't have to tap in for a moment, but then when it's done, you're really like proud of yourself. You've gone through an emotional journey, and usually whatever you're going through life, there's some undercurrent, whether good or bad, of that. And so it's also like a scrapbook memento of like that moment, and then like, oh cool, something positive came out of it, whether it was bad or good.
I think also like it's like naming a pet, and then suddenly the pet taking on the qualities of what you've called it, like you call it the god of mischief, and it becomes the most mischievous little creature in your life, and you can't contain it. And it's the same with, I guess, finding those concepts that you're really attracted to in life and kind of letting them grow and through your creation. And it's kind of the whole creation of the film is like holding up a mirror to yourself the entire time, kind of go through this whole cathartic ego breakdown in the process of making it. But by the end, the film almost teaches you something about yourself, I think. So rewatching the film, you're like, oh, this is what it's actually about, and you didn't see that in the process. For me, like, this film was incredibly rewarding for that personal process, but I'd like to think that it's not some sort of a ego reflection, that it is, a piece of work that's worth seeing. So I think that's the kind of struggle that you balance as an artist and a filmmaker.
To what you said before about male gaze, that it's just nice to see. So like all the films back to back made by women, you sort of start to see the differences. I don't know if anyone else picked up this. The differences between the female lens and what we're typically used to male lens. Even just having the guy be the victim was like, oh yeah, we don't see that very often.
It's actually more therapeutic to share it with you all. You know what I mean? Like it's been fun to get to screen the film and talk to audiences about it and hear what other people think of it. And I don't think the film per se is therapeutic, but it took Adam and I 7 years to make it. So during that time, we had a lot of conversations that were therapeutic. But they're not in the film. They're about all kinds of stuff.
I am a hairstylist, but I don't want to scalp or kill you. But I think this is the most personal film I've made. I just made a few shorts, but I think I realized that kind of her ending, and it's really more about someone who, instead of confronting their issues, trying to find all these ways to hide it, and to realize that you can, you're always going to see yourself still in the mirror, and you can never hide from that. And I think everyone can relate to that. And I don't know, through this film I realized it was like, it feels like it's me, even though I'm not a violent person. I've never felt closer to something I've made.
I don't even know that I have to. I kind of already answered the question. Although, as you said, it's the production of the film is actually really difficult, and you're tied up in logistics, and you're thinking about the making of the film, and you're not thinking about it as a personal catharsis in any way. You're thinking about making a film and getting it done. But yes, very much so, sharing it in a room with people. And even watching it again once it was made and you distance yourself from it for a while, then you start to see new things in it that you even didn't see while you were making it or while you were writing it. It's still growing for me. And it took 3 years for me to make the film, and it's still growing for me now, watching it in the room with you guys. Totally different audience from the last time I watched it. It's an entirely different film, and I see different things in it today than I did yesterday. So, I'm growing with the film too.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Let's
you.
hear it again.